recommendations specifically directed to the Commission in the European Union Election Observation Missions and its report on the 2023 general election. On judicial matters, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja during the week dismissed a suit instituted against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, challenging the March 18, 2025 proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The declaration of the state of emergency by the Tinubu-led administration led to the suspension of the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for 6 months. It also led to the appointment of an administrator who took charge of running the affairs for the period, delivering the judgment in a suit filed by Belema Briggs and 4 others against the emergency rule. Justice Omotosho held that the 5 plaintiffs lacked the legal power to institute the case. The judge said that such case as constituted can only be determined by the Supreme Court. And still in Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, in the course of the week, sacked all commissioners and other public office holders, 7 in his administration. The decision, according to a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Wednesday evening by his Chief Press Secretary Nelson Chukwudi, takes immediate effect and followed the recent Supreme Court judgment. The governor, during a valedictory session with his cabinet to mark Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary at the Government House, Port Harcourt, thanked the outgoing officials for their services and contributions to the state's development over the past 2 years. Fubara also reiterated his commitment to serve the state with renewed vigor, while expressing gratitude to Rivers State people for their support and wishing Nigerians a happy independence anniversary. In a separate development, Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) during the week announced the resumption of passenger train services on the Abuja-Kaduna corridor effective 1st October 2025. A statement by its Chief Public Relations Officer Callistus Unyimadu said commercial service will recommence following the successful completion of all required safety, technical and operational checks. The development comes after the train derailed on August 26th, the second to occur at the same station within 13 months. The incident happened after the train passed the manually operated switch point that had been previously declared unserviceable. In another development, the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) within the week confirmed that 24 passengers were rescued from the Kogi boat mishap. In a post, NEMA said 42 persons remained missing as search and rescue operations continue. According to the agency, the incident occurred on Tuesday evening when a boat carrying about 80 passengers capsized on the River Niger. The boat had departed Onugwa community in Ibaji local government area and was heading to Olushi village before it sank. The Director General of NEMA, Zubaida Umar, activated the Abuja Operations Office to support the ongoing rescue efforts. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino, in the course of the week, ordered the dissolution of all statutory and non-statutory boards and commissions in the state, effective from October 3rd. The directive, issued under the provisions of Section 6 of the Statutory Boards Special Provisions Law 2023, was contained in a statement signed by the Secretary to the state government, Prince Enobong Uwa. Governor Ino expressed appreciation to the chairman and members of the affected boards and commissions for their service and contributions to the implementation of his administration's Arise agenda. He also wished them success in their future endeavors. The state boards and commissions to be handed over to the most senior civil servant in each of the respective bodies. And still to come in the news. Pengasson denies signing reconciliation agreement after strike suspension. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News Within the Week. We'll take you through the rest of the news stories. Continuing from Africa, where Chad's parliament yesterday overwhelmingly passed a constitutional amendment scrapping presidential terms limit. In a move condemned by opponents of President Mahamat Deby, President Mahamat Deby was first made transitional president by army generals in 2021 after rebels killed his father Idris Deby Itno in a gun battle ending his 30 years in power in the impoverished Central African nation. Deby was then elected head of state in May 2024 for 5 years. In a contested vote boycotted by a majority of opposition parties, Friday's parliamentary vote for the constitutional reform presented by Deby's Patriotic Salvation Movement MPS saw 236 of the 257 lawmakers in the Chad's parliament back the move, with no votes made against. Max Kemokoye, a spokesman of the opposition platform group of political actors consultation, did tell reporters that there is no longer any difference between the MPS and the Republic. And still in Africa, where ECOWAS Court President Justice Ricardo Convalles yesterday appealed to the government of ECOWAS member states to fully recognize the court's authority and cooperate with it in enforcing the court's judgment. He made the appeal while declaring open the ECOWAS Court's 2025/2026 legal year celebration with the theme ECOWAS Court and International Law, Expanding Access and Navigating Contemporary Challenges on Thursday in Abuja. Reports say the annual event is usually held to mark the commencement of a new legal year and provide an opportunity to reflect on the court's achievements, challenges, and future prospects. It also serves as a forum for dialogue with stakeholders like other ECOWAS institutions, member states, national courts, bar associations, academics, civil society, and development partners to chart the way forward. And on the foreign scene, Trump has said that he believes Hamas is ready for a lasting peace and urged Israel to stop bombing of Gaza. Recall that Hamas had said it has agreed to release all remaining Israeli hostages, but did ask for further negotiations on a number of issues outlined in the U.S. peace plan on Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel is preparing to immediately implement the first phase of Donald Trump's plan. Elsewhere, Sanai Takahashi has won the leadership of Japan's ruling party, putting her on course to become the country's first woman prime minister. She was elected president of the Liberal Democratic Party after winning a runoff vote against Shinjiro Koizumi, the son of a former premier. And in the meantime, Indonesia's government yesterday suspended the operating license of video sharing app TikTok because the platform refused to share data about recent anti-government protests. Indonesia has the second biggest audience on TikTok, owned by China's ByteDance, with more than 100 million users. The ministry said it had temporarily suspended the app's operating license for failing to provide adequate data on its live features activities during anti-government protests in August. The government asked TikTok for traffic and other data related to the alleged monetization of live activities from accounts suspected of online gambling. And still on the foreign scene, Sarah Mulale was yesterday named the new Archbishop of Canterbury, becoming the first woman to lead the Church of England, which can trace its origins to the Roman Empire and the global Anglican community. Her nomination by a committee tasked with finding a successor to Justin Welby, who stepped down earlier this year over an abuse scandal, has been approved by King Charles III. The Church of England is the mother church of global Anglicanism. Mulale, 63, becomes the church's 106th archbishop, the first having been appointed in the late 6th century. In a statement, the former nurse acknowledged the huge responsibility of her new role and said she feels a sense of peace and trust in God to carry her. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Keir Starmer welcomed the appointment of the first woman to hold the role. On our business news, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, yesterday clarified that it did not sign the communique that ended its recent strike against Dangote Refinery. Recall that the union suspended its nationwide strike on Wednesday after government intervention, but insisted its concerns were not fully addressed. Speaking with newsmen, Pengasan President Festus Osifo said the documents presented at the meeting was not an agreement. Osifo stressed that the statement was only a communication from the Minister of Labour and Employment, acting as the chief conciliator. The Pengasan and the private refinery had been at loggerheads over unresolved labour issues. Elsewhere, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited Group Chief Executive Officer Bashir Ojulari, within the week, lamented the crude and gas production losses resulting from the three-day strike carried out by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. In a letter written to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Ojulari explained that the suspended strike led to 16% oil production and 30% marketed gas losses, while the nation suffered a 20% power supply shortfall. The National Oil Company's letter, dated 29 September 2025, entitled Impact Assessment of Ongoing Industrial Action, was also sent to the National Security Advisor and the Director General of the Department of State Services. And still in business, the Naira appreciated significantly against the United States dollar at the official foreign exchange market after Nigeria's independence anniversary holiday on Thursday. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the Naira strengthened to 1,455 Naira on Thursday, up from 1,475 Naira traded on Tuesday. This means that the Naira gained 20 Naira against the dollar on Thursday compared to the 1,475 Naira exchanged at the close of trading before Wednesday's holiday. Similarly, at the black market, the Naira firmed by 5 Naira to 1,485 Naira on Thursday from 1,490 Naira on Tuesday. This indicates positive sentiment across FX markets on Thursday and further shows that the gap between the official and parallel foreign exchange markets has continued to narrow. And still to come in the news. Super Falcons forward Onumonu announces retirement from football. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment.
Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Rescan your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further enquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most...
Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News Within the Week. In health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, on Thursday destroyed fake, expired, substandard and falsified drugs valued at 15 billion naira in Ibadan, Oyo State. This was announced by the Director General of the agency, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, during the destruction in Ibadan, the state's capital. Represented by the NAFDAC's Director of Investigation and Enforcement, Martins Uluyomade, Adeyeye said the agency remained resolutely committed to ensuring that foods, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, chemicals, packaged water and drinks were safe, wholesome and effective for human consumption. She stated that the destruction of those products would eliminate the risk of their re-entry into the Nigerian market. And still in health, the National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, during the week said that over 35% of Nigerian children under 5 years are affected by malnutrition, describing the menace as a critical public health challenge. In a post on X on Thursday, NARD said over 35% of children under the age of 5 are affected. NARD stated that interventions include ready-to-use therapeutic food and its distribution, community-based management of acute malnutrition, and infant and young child feeding counseling. It added that research shows these strategies significantly improve recovery rates and child survival. The body urged support from sustainable nutritional programs to protect children's health nationwide. And now to sportswear. Super Falcons striker Ifeoma Onumonu has announced her retirement from professional football. Onumonu quit the round leather game at the age of 31. She took to her social media to announce her retirement today. The forward has won titles at both national and international level. Meanwhile, Benin Republic's head coach, Genrot Rohr, has named a 25-man squad for his side's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda. He named Remo Stars goalkeeper Segi Obasa in the squad alongside first-choice shortstopper Saturni Alagbe, Oliver Verdon, Mohamed Tijani and Cedric Hauntonji are among regulars called up by him. Other regulars who made the selections are Captain Steve Moni, Junior Olaiton, Jodel Dosa and Tosin Ayegun. The charges will be away from Amavubi of Rwanda at the Amahoro Stadium, Kigali on Friday, October 10th. The Squirrels will face Nigeria 4 days later at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo. And still in sports, Paul Onuachu has won the Turkish Super League Goal of the Month award for August. Paul won the individual accolade for his superb header in the Trabzonspor's 1-1 draw with Samsunspor on match day 4. The Nigerian international was presented the award by Trabzonspor's Vice President Zayat Kafkas ahead of the yesterday's league clash with Kaniyespor. The 31-year-old registered 1 goal and an assist in the game. Paul is also the contention to win the Goal of the Month award for September. On our entertainment news, Joseph Aloba, father of the Nigerian singer late Ileri Oluwa Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad, has urged the Lagos State government to prosecute his son's widow, Omowumi Aloba, alongside others indicted by the coroner's inquest into the artist's death. The demand was contained in a petition addressed to the state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lawal Pedro, SAN, and signed by Aloba's legal counsel Wahab Shitu, SAN. In the letter, Aloba specifically called for the prosecution of Feyi Fisayo Ogedegbe and the auxiliary nurse who administered an injection to the singer shortly before his death in September 2023. He also requested that other individuals present in Mohbad's apartment at the time, particularly those who invited the nurse or failed to seek immediate medical help, should be brought to justice. And lastly, in the news within the week, hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced to more than 4 years in prison for his conviction on prostitution-related charges. Prosecutors had sought 11 years behind bars for Combs, but Judge Arun Submahinan handed down a 50-month sentence after an emotional day-long court hearing. Combs' lawyers had urged the judge to sentence the 55-year-old hip-hop star to 14 months, which would effectively have been time served since he has been incarcerated in Brooklyn for more than 1 year. Addressing the court before the judge handed down the sentence, Combs said he was truly sorry for his actions and did ask the judge for yet another chance. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You're watching Spectrum News within the week. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.